Nope.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know why I did a weird accent there. Welcome to week 10 of Hot Pot Talk season 2. I am Jen Sunshine here with my dear friend and longtime creative partner, David Ng. We are the co-artistic directors of Love Intersections, a media arts collective that produces documentary films about QT BIPOCs. We're also members of the Vancouver Artists Labor Union Cooperative, also known as Value Co-op. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that David and I are beaming this episode of Hot Pot Talks from the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Part of our work as labor activists and queer artists on unceded territories means working in solidarity with Indigenous struggles for sovereignty, decolonization, reparations, and land back. Hot Pot Talks is a weekly series live streaming to YouTube and Facebook every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, where we have free-flowing conversations with artists, activists, chefs, performers, poets, community organizers about what it means to be an artist facing today's realities, what ethical responsibilities do we have as artists. And this season, we continue these conversations on topics ranging from anti-Asian racism, BIPOC futurity, Chinatown solidarity, diasporic food cultures, and interrogating the boundaries between everyday activism, fine art, and cultural work.
Yeah, and so Jen and I started Love Intersections on the philosophy of collaboration, invitation, and relationship building with and within communities to tell intergenerational and intersectional stories. And a core part of our work as social practice artists has been to interrogate the boundaries of art, philosophy, community work, and activism. When the pandemic put a pause on our creative and community work, we created Hot Pot Talks as a joyous way to continue this dialogue on art and culture production with people who we are inspired by. So I'm very excited. I have hot off the press our new merch today, season 2 merch, if I may.
Show off your bod.
Yes. Have you eaten today? These are designed by Value Co-op member Annie Canto, printed in our unionized shop just in Chinatown, Vancouver. And they're also made by our, these t-shirts are not made by the sewing union, but our totes are also handmade by our sister co-op, the Vancouver Sewing Labor Union Cooperative. So we're very excited to be pre-launching this merch.
Woohoo.
Before we introduce our guest, I also want to thank our amazing team, Cameron, our lead project coordinator, and Lamia, our social media coordinator, who helped make Hot Pot Talks a reality. So without further ado, we are so thrilled to invite my dear friend Savoy Williams to the Hot Pot table. Savoy is a certified personal trainer who collaborates with individuals to develop unique fitness experiences inspired by the way they move. Savoy has garnered many respects for his excellence as a public orator, having delivered his first keynote speech on retinoblastoma, cancer awareness at the age of 9 for the Hospital for Sick Kids in Toronto, Canada. Throughout the decades, Savoy has widened his exploration of life to find hope in discussions of community, well-being, and self-understanding. Welcome, Savoy.
What's
Hi,
poppin'?
Savoy.
What's good?
How's it going?
Can I just bug you? I just recognized throughout the decades.
Yeah, man.
What?
9:26.
In his bio. You're not that old.
I'm like, it's a decade, man. I'm like, you start at 9, you do these things, and you're like, hold up. But that's the first talk, eh? That was the first big talk. But the first legit speech was at 7. And when I think about that, that's 19. That's 19 years.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's decades.
Don't be playing with me.
That's too funny. I want to start us off with a fun or easier question, rather.
Yes.
And it's usually, so I really want to ask you, like, how would you describe yourself outside of your profession? And then I usually add this part, which is to make it, if you want to make it juicier, you can include, what is something that people misunderstand about you?
Oh, facts. Okay. Ooh. Outside of my profession, honestly, I am just a very low-key type of guy who I enjoy smiling a lot. I enjoy laughing. I enjoy embracing the joys of every little moment. And something people misunderstand about me is how serious I am about living for those little moments, because life is a roller coaster of waves. And honestly, my positivity comes from a place of knowing that this shit is, we're going through a hustle right now. We are all going through something. And if we can just find a way to put a smile on our face and bring a little joy to ourselves, it'll make the experience a whole world of a difference, you know?
You know, you're actually like the most perfect Hot Pot Talks guest, because that is the very reason why David and I founded Hot Pot Talks in the first place, because we were so just exhausted from, you know, I think from like everyday activism, from pandemic, from just living. And everything is so much more difficult. Everything is very laborious. It's very hard. And so we wanted to just like be inspired by like people like yourself, and people that we admire. So this is actually a great starting point for the conversation.
Yeah,
Right on.
it was really like, you know, I just remember like the pandemic. Actually, I'm just rolling back into like last year. The decade.
Y'all wilding out with that one, eh?
But like, you know, I remember when everything like shut down, and, you know, just everything like we were trying to find a way to also create and connect too. And I was just remembering, I mean, Savoy, I think I remember because you used to live near me, and we actually used to exercise together.
We walk over to the what do you call it? The pier there, the water. We'd walk to waterfront.
Crab Park?
Yeah, Crab Park sometimes too. Yes. And we just hit it.
Yeah. But there's something I think it was really nice too, because, you know, not only were we able to like spend time together, but there's also like, I found that doing exercise with someone is also very different than being in my own mind and doing it by myself too. So maybe
is it because you find yourself being more accountable to having like an exercise buddy, or?
For me, yes, accountable, but there's also I'm a Leo, so there's like, you know, there's a competition aspect when you're amongst other people. So it plays into the overall
making games, the whole experience, it's a vibe, 100%. I like that too. But I'll just say straight the hell up, I don't like working out with people that much on my own time, but I like working out with you. As a personal, you know, like it's one thing to train with people because you want to help them, you know, work towards whatever it is that they desire for themselves. And when it comes to me and what I desire for myself and my goals, I'm going full steam ahead. And so having someone beside me, I'm like, man, I gotta be dragging your ass. Come on now. But you, I see you now. I understand that fire, Leo. Okay. Because I'm wondering, you got pep in the step.
Wait. So, boy, what is your sign?
I am a Taurus, stubborn, loyal,
I'm a Taurus
very
too.
So
I understand. So you two actually met in school. And we have a lot of overlap because I used to work at said department at this school. But tell me about how you two met and your first impressions of David, and how did you even connect in the first place?
Okay. That's how I rolled up in the orientation, and I'm looking at everybody. I'm like, all right, I got 2 years with all y'all. Let me see which one of y'all I just catch a vibe off already. And I'm looking, and I see David with his pink hair. This guy, he came looking fresh. He came with shades ready, like he's just here to be here and get the hell up out of here. Like, that's my energy right now. So I'm gonna watch what he does. So I'm sitting there and I'm mingling with everybody. Yeah. Hey, nice to meet you. And I'm still keeping my eye. And then eventually when orientation, you know, all the teachers are done talking and all that, I go up to him, I'm like, yo, how's it going? And I just remember thinking, I'm going to be friends with this guy. He's fly. And even if you didn't want to, my ass was desperate. I was trying. Because again, man, you knew what was up. I could sense it. And looky here.
You know, I have to say, I'm like trying to live back to that time. I felt, you know, when I started school again, it was there were a lot of emotions attached, And I was starting to, I was juggling a lot of freelancing. So I had just left a the longest salary position that I've ever had, starting school in this sort of financially precarious situation. And I remember you saying hi to me, and I had to go to work like right after. So I'm, right after the thing that it was mandatory, I'm like, bye. I'm like running away. And it was like that after every single class, because there was always something that I had to get. And it wasn't like I felt, and I have to, when I started the doctoral program, I promised myself I wouldn't do what I did in my undergrad, which was just pack my schedule. Whereas in my master's, I was out of town. So I had time to really spend with school and getting to know my classmates. And I was really scared that I would sacrifice the relationship pieces,
Mm-hmm.
But, I have to say I'm actually quite proud of, our friendship, but also our cohort has like, we really bonded in,
we all came together.
We all came together in different ways. So
when you're in a cohort, that's like 7. How many people was it? 9-ish people. If I'm forgetting anybody, God forgive me. But when it's like 10 cats that you're chilling with for the next 2 years of your life.
Yeah.
And if you want to survive in there, you better come together, work together, and if you like the people, bonus. But you bring your best foot forward, and I think we all did that, and it made for a beautiful experience in that regard.
Yeah. So I was talking to Jen about this. So I can't believe that video that we made with you, the Savvy Trainer, was like 2 years ago. We're coming up on 2 years ago.
It's gnarly. Wow.
Yeah.
And
so we made the video about you sort of working on fixing or trying to fix.
Oh yeah. So the video just like, I'm trying to, it was like just trying to convey to people that when you're in a university, it's like, look, everyone is somewhat paying for access to this facility. And if not, they should damn well be able to access that facility. And when you go in there, regardless of what you look like, who you are, the gym space is an intimidating space for a lot of people, some more than others. And we got to come together and collaborate the same way we do in all other areas. The more vulnerable an area feels, that's exactly when we need to come together the most. And like for the video, is just I'm trying to rally everybody. Like, let's go. The gym is a vibe. I want everyone to catch the vibe. Let's go.
Yeah. I remember resonating with a lot of what you're saying. I think even just like walking into that gym, which was super fancy. It was beautiful. Like I was like, this whole facility is brand new. Walking in, I was still super intimidated and a little bit kind of terrified and out of my element because I don't go to the gym. It's not something that I experience on the regular. And also in my own body, like as a woman in a gym space, like, because there's such this kind of mainstream association with gyms, like with like bro culture. And so it was like very interesting for me to walk into that space. And I really liked how you were kind of like breaking it down is about creating this like culture of this like safety. It's about the culture there. And it's about the people that are like yourself, who's like trying to change the culture, the bro culture, if you will.
I was gonna ask you. So since we made that video, you then got your personal training certificate.
Yes.
I was there. I was your guinea pig.
Wow.
We've been through some stuff, yo.
He needed a guinea pig to do things with for the training, so I was the one. But I wanted to ask you, what's it been like since you got your certification, and what's that looking like?
Honestly, it's a lot. It's overwhelming at times because straight up, when you love fitness yourself and you have that much enthusiasm, it's like, number one, how do I convince somebody? Like, how do I share that enthusiasm with them in a way that keeps them motivated enough? And then logistically speaking, like, how do you go out there and market yourself in a way that is leveraging your skills and all that stuff for yourself? And it's overwhelming at times, but I'm just starting out and I have a whole wide horizon ahead of me. So I'm working through it. It'll be all right though.
Cool.
I want to know, you know, if you can tell us like about how you grew up and what your childhood was like, and whether like as a kid you had this, you have a story maybe, but if whether as a kid you have this moment, this light bulb moment where you're like, oh, I want to be a personal trainer when I grow up, or like if there's like a shift in analysis, is there something like that in your childhood?
Well, it's interesting now that you bring this up, because it's like the dynamic of when I was younger has changed in terms of my family structure. But the inspiration to become a personal trainer was my dad. And
Really?
yes, and when he was present in my life, he was a bodybuilder himself, always took me to the kids club, you know, the area for the kids at the gym. And the moment I was able to be accompanied by him at like 12, I was in there. And prior to that, you know, he's showing me little weights and things. But I'd say the aha moment was like leveling up and him asking me, you know, you want to come in train, not go to the kids club. We bypass that. I'm ready to go for the door. And he's like, no. And to me, it was like, holy smokes, here is a man that I look up to and want to be just like, and he's granting me access into a space that has brought him so much joy. And here I am, get to do all that with him. And it made me feel like, you know what, if he can do that for me, maybe I can share that and bring that energy with other people.
That's really beautiful. And not to be all like therapy language about it, but I feel like a lot of us, like I think about the influence that my parents have had, and I talk about how I inherited my dad's like sense of like creative sensibility, and inherited all of his artistry and all of his creativity. And it was like my first model of like art and like creativity in the house, you know, growing up with like plants and like just he was such a master of like domesticity. He was also a Taurus, so maybe there's that thing. But yeah, I feel like there's just these models that you know we grew up with, and we're just replicating in so many ways, like our parents and the dreams that they've had for us. Perhaps I don't know.
That, you know, it was for me my creative. When I think about it, it was also my dad too. He was always the one. Well, as you know, Jen, Jen and I made we just produced our first narrative film called The Sound of You Collapsing, and there's a scene where there's a door that's sitting in the middle of this black expanse, right? And immediately I was like, because we were like, who can build this? I was like, oh, my dad can build it for sure.
That stands on its own, right? That you have to like be able to open, but it's not attached to anything. Like how the hell do you build that?
Yeah, which by the way, can I just say again, I had to carry up 3 flights of stairs when we had the heat wave here, 41.5 degrees.
Strength, David, all right.
But yeah, it was always my dad too. Like I remember we had these, so in the okay, so the church that I grew up in, Halloween was not okay. So there used to be this like
why? Because Satan?
Yes, pagan.
Right.
So it's celebrating the devil, right? So we used to have this church alternative Halloween evening event, but there was always a costume contest, and my dad would make the most. You'd have to make the costumes, so you can't just buy it, right? Yeah. And he would make the most elaborate costumes. Like I remember one, he made this shark, like a shark costume for me out of cardboard, and the eyes like lit up and it all just sat like on my head, like kind of like a backpack.
Yo, that is hard.
Yeah, I should find photos.
Yo. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. Dang. Your pops is lit. Wow. All our pops are lit, you know. It's that's interesting. Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And it makes me happy, you know, that we're talking about this in this context, because we're all sharing stories about our fathers. And I don't know about everybody else, but being a young Black trans man, like understanding and trying to understand the relationship with one's dad,
Mm-hmm.
in particular mine, and with him not being present, to be able to come back now and reflect and share memories that are beautiful to me, that over time I couldn't allow myself to enjoy, to now be at a point where I can enjoy them and share them with others, and maybe in this spirit he will hear that and know that there is joy and pleasantry and love for the way that he's created me, makes me really happy.
Wow. That's really insightful. I think because what I'm noticing, especially with like the age of digital media visibility, so much of who we are is hyper visible, where it's attached to our identities. And a lot of times, like how we grow up and who we are, whether we're queer, trans, non-binary, BIPOC, it's so attached to like a kind of trauma story. With like family, with our parents, you know, and that's often the discourse that's out there in the mainstream anyways. And part of why David and I started Love Intersections was kind of to combat those single stories that exist out there about queer, trans, BIPOCs, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like the film that I always bring this story up, but one of the first films we made with Carla and Haifa. And it's a mother and daughter. It's a story about a mother and daughter. And Haifa, the daughter, has this line where she says, you know, I had this moment of realizing that, you know, it was Carla sharing the story of like, you know, the mother sharing like, you know, the dreams that I had for Haifa as a, you know, POC family, this sort of heteronormativity that I envisioned for her out of, you know, just a dream for her future were my dreams and not hers. And that was like, that just totally made me also reappreciate, actually an appreciation with my parents' own journey as parents, you know?
And as people, like, it weirds me out to also know that, you know, and we're going in on parents, like this ain't the way I want it to be, like, gosh, damn. But it's like, parents are people. My mom has a first name, my pops has a first name, and it's like, dang, before my ass was born, what y'all was like? What did y'all do?
Yeah.
You know, but that's here nor there. God bless all parents. I hope, you know, where y'all ever at, good, bad, ugly, y'all can all take the blessings.
I want to ask about so when we were talking about I don't know if you want to call it your fitness philosophy, but you were talking about movement. Can you tell me more about that? And I'm also curious about you brought this up in the Camp Out workshop that you did.
Yeah. So the way I go about thinking about movement is that fitness for people gets to be super, super overwhelming, because the way that you are exposed to it visibly or, you know, visually in places and things can be overwhelming with the type of folks that are up in there. They're intense. And for me, it's like movement is a necessitation to life. Everything is driven by movement. That is how we go about our experience of this journey. And for me, fitness is about how do we preserve the quality of this experience of the journey? How do we make the movement so ingrained, so aware that it just feels seamless? Like this is just how we go about existing, and it's this joyful experience that is helping us extend it.
I love that, because that immediately reminds me of my own relationship to dance and my own relationship to dance. And that then there's this seamless connection to music and a seamless connection to my body and a seamless connection to like how my mind understands my body while it's dancing and moving. But I never thought about fitness that way. I've always found fitness to be I just don't want to do it, and you know, like it's like a chore. You know, but it wasn't until the pre-interview that we were talking about, and I don't know why we were talking about this, but I was talking about how like I find ways to move my body and just like kind of extend the time. Like if I'm cleaning, I'll just like put an extra oomph behind it, so I'm like getting the like movement.
Yes, that is it. That is exactly it. Oh, you do that 10 times.
Yeah.
That's a set.
Yeah.
3 more, 3 sets of 10. Boom, done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like that you said it shifts your mind too. You know, like
Mm.
that. The accompaniment, David, you mentioned. You know what I talked about at a different workshop is that alongside your movements, you know, that little with the Swiffer,
Mhm.
and you have that, but you also have the way you shift your mind in relation to that. The space that your mind is at when you're thinking about what you're doing, that impacts your ability to effectively do that movement, perform that movement safely, perform that movement in a way that makes you feel like you want to do it again. Like,
Mhm.
and ultimately, if your goal is, say, to, you know, get muscle and things like that, the movement's going to get difficult over time. And to have that determination, that perseverance to push through the little uncomfortability of the sweat, your mind is in the right place. You got that focus. I like it.
Well, I mean, honestly, how I got into, and I don't even know if you can say into fitness, but I got addicted to the endorphins.
Really, eh?
I took a spin class and I was so like the endorphins were just so overwhelming. I was like, I'm doing that again. After I recovered, it took me like a week to recover because if you ever done a freaking spin class, they're very intense.
Week to recover and you went back?
And then I went back.
Right.
It was also how I quit smoking too, because I was also very frugal. And if I started taking spin classes, and if I smoked a cigarette, it would take me a week to get back to where I was before. And so I was like, well, it's just too expensive.
Yeah, I remember that period of you smoking and quitting. Yeah, I was very proud of you.
Thank you.
Some of y'all take heed, eh? Maybe try spin class if y'all looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
So I want to know more about this workshop with Camp Out. For people who don't know, Camp Out is a LGBTQ2S camp. It's run by UBC's which department? I think education.
Yes,
yes, yeah. And Camp Out's camp director is a longtime dear friend of mine, Anna White, and it's an incredible camp where you bring like youth, queer youth, but also with like camp leaders, and there's programming, and it's incredible. So you designed a workshop for Camp Out?
Yes, yep. And the workshop was do-it-yourself fitness, and what it takes, like going through the steps of your mindset to how you structure a program for yourself, and getting young people to recognize their own capabilities and recognize their own talents and what they bring to the table that makes them remain in their seat at this table. You know, like this is your journey. You control the path. You control also the destination. And you have to have faith and courage to push forward in yourself. And as young people, you know, no matter what stage, in my belief, you start off all knowing and all unknowing. And over time, you know, you start off with all the capabilities and you just have to sort of swat away all the BS that's going to make you feel insecure about your own abilities. And so with the youth and stuff like that, it's like, hey, y'all got it. Don't worry. I see you. You got it. Let me just recognize that about you and let's start talking about it. Let's explicitly vocalize it and do it. Let's move. Let's show people who we are through the way we carry ourselves. That's how you go about it. That's the ultimate doing it yourself type of fitness, you know?
And did you have any question? Like, did the youth ask you any specific questions?
Not questions, but they had a lot of comments about how they'd never heard someone who looked like me talking about fitness this way. And how that made them feel excited about something that prior to that moment made them feel scared or worried. And to me, that was like, that blew me away.
Mm.
That touched my heart because I am so often in that feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I wish them all well. You know.
Yeah. Well, even I'm just thinking about this idea of movement too, right? And I think I mentioned this in my pre-interview too, because a lot of, and I attribute it to mostly as I've been going to different fitness classes or whatnot, but the way that it's talked about, like, burn off that burger from yesterday or something. And then all of a sudden I'm now opening my fridge and being like, no, you had this. You can't have that. And it's like, having to undo those things that are, I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much shame and guilt attached to and also because we live on the West Coast and Savoy, you're not here anymore. You're in Ontario. You're back in Ontario.
Yes.
But the culture here, like the West Coast, like kind of the like kind of toxic wellness culture where there's like this weird relationship with with food and it's so wrapped up in that world. And then the guilt and the shame that is like wrapped up in that as well.
Yeah, like it just you can see I get so uncomfortable by it because it just burns it makes me so uncomfortable because we all are literally here moving. In order for you to remain sitting, there is movement going on inside your body. And to be shamed by the level or of visible movement, to be shamed by that or what you're doing, how you're moving, like, man, pay attention to your own life. Get your own ducks in a row before you start worrying about how mine waddle. Move. Fuck out of here. Nah, remember.
In talking about food, I want to talk about food.
My bad.
It's your favorite conversation, David. Like every time he just wants to talk about food all the time, which is amazing.
That's why we call Hot Pot
Stand up one time for the one time, stand up one time for the one time.
Yes. I'm curious about like comfort foods that you grew up with and comfort foods that you think about or your some favorite comfort foods.
We're gonna go with some oxtail, rice and peas, some curry goat, jerk chicken, probably jerk pork. I'd take over that probably. Just some good Jamaican food. Something that's prepared with love. Something that took time to stew, and you can smell the flavors throughout the house, and you can feel the anticipation building. I like that type of moment. So that often happens around, celebrating some type of holiday or just celebrating someone's journey at that moment. And we come together. Yeah, Jamaicans throw down, eh? Like one thing you don't play with is flavor, yo. You gotta season.
Did you were you able to find that sort of comfort food here when you were living here?
You know what? No disrespect, because I know there are Jamaican spots out there. I know there are, but if I gotta look that hard and travel that far for them, sorry. I know my roots. I'll wait till I come home.
So I wanted to ask because we've had now a few guests who have like the kind of bicoastal experience. And so one of my favorite questions to ask our guests who have that bicoastal experience, who didn't necessarily grow up in Vancouver or the West Coast, is what your interpretation or what your perception of Vancouver is like versus, let's say, in Toronto or Ontario, where you are, and the kind of cultures that you experience, and whether there's any difference. And you're allowed to, say what you want because it's sort of a baited question. What?
Yeah, I'm like, where the black people at? Black people, I know you're there. I know you're there. I see y'all on the streets. Just give a little nod.
Yeah.
The difference, it's like people are not as warm. Straight up.
Yeah.
You gotta work for that warmth.
Yeah.
In Vancouver. Yeah. And once you work on the relationship and y'all are at a good spot, then everyone's chill. And I think that's, if it works, it works. But over here, it's like people are warm from jump, and they're warm until they're not. You know, like we're warm, and then you say some whack ass shit, and whoop, things go left real fast, and it's off.
Interesting.
So I think there, people, you know, in Vancouver, I think people are a little more hesitant because there are people passing through all the other, like, trust issues.
Yeah.
You know, like Vancouver got a lot of trust issues.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. I often talk about it in a way that's like, I think it grew too fast, too soon, you know, and too big, too soon. So I think Vancouverites are just very cognizant of like personal space, because we have so much space, but then all of a sudden it's getting more crowded. And so I think there's like a protective thing of your like clique or your circle of friends. Yeah, I find it quite hostile here. Yeah. Even as someone who kind of grew up here.
Shit. Dang, ain't that something? Y'all live there and y'all still feeling like,
yeah.
I mean, we have the nature, so.
The nature.
The nature. Trademark. Goes to show how much I'm in the nature.
But I think you make a good point too, Jen. But I'm also thinking like it's also a very known stereotype of Vancouver that most people that are here in Vancouver are not
friendly.
Not friendly, but also are from other communities too, right? And so there's also a sense of like everyone needing to find community constantly. It's a sense that I get anyway. Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot of running around.
Yeah.
Can you tell us your life, where you are? What's it like? What your
life? What is your life?
Tell us through the decades.
No, this is good.
To describe the decades.
Well. Well, straight up.
I think you mean, Jen. You mean like what does your life look like right now? Post.
Now? Okay.
Yeah.
During here, I'm like that was a lot.
We don't need.
But right now, honestly, look, Savoy, you're 26. I'm putting this out there for me. Okay, Savoy, you're 26. Do not feel ashamed by this. You're gonna see this back. It's okay. Things. Hopefully, the glow up happen. The millies. All that. Right now, after completing my master's degree, I am back home with my mother at my mom's house in my room that I grew up in. I am just hustling to find, jobs and be consistent about getting my bills paid and paying down student loans. And I'm just at a place right now where I feel my most humbled, because I feel smarter, sure, but I don't feel much different than my 5-year-old self.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, school is such a misnomer too. Like I think we've been sold a lie. As like an elder millennial myself, we were told that once you graduate from university, you will have a job waiting for you and it would be all fun and easy. But that is not true. And certainly for younger, the lies are, you know what lie.
Keep generating and keep passing it down. But
no, the same thing happened to me when because I also went out. I was not at home, or I was at the University of Cape Town when I did my master's. So I left and then I came back and I found a couple. It took me a good 2 years, I think, before I even got a job. And, I was working, but it wasn't the work that I wanted to do, right? It was just, whatever I could get at that point. But I also, it was it's still the case, to be honest. I mean, we're juggling a lot of, projects right now, but I even still feel the case. Like, what is this degree?
Oh gosh. It's like, no, go ahead.
No, go. You go ahead. You're our guest.
Thank you. No, I was just gonna be like, to even the thought of even pause. The thought of even trying to work in my field right now with the type of experience that I had to acquire that master's degree, it makes the looking at that degree and trying to apply it like really just overwhelming because it's like social justice. You're going in and there's only so much you can do. There's so much, you have to be very hyper realistic. And when you have this much, you're coming out with a degree and you have all this drive to just run, sprint, and change. I can do it. I'm certified. I can do it. And when that, you just get kicked, tripped when you're running. It's like, no. So now I'm looking for everything that's hands-on, personal training, you know, working landscaping jobs, working with machines, things that are
tactile,
realistic, and I'm able to appreciate the simplest types of little justice, the little changes, the little realistic things I can do.
Yeah. What is the work that you want to do? What is
my dream goal in life?
Is
to open my own nonprofit organization that develops and implements social programs into community centers all around the world.
Cool.
And you can tell that's the 15-second elevator.
That's amazing.
I've had this dream from time. I want a community center that is like the stuff you see in TV, Zoe 101, or like like just huge, where youth can come and have a place to chill and vibe and be themselves and talk the way they want to talk, stay late, have a place to chill and not get swept aside or not feel like, you know, they ain't got a place to go. And I want families to be able to work together in that space too, you know. Intergenerationally, we have work to do. Young people, listen up, and also older people, listen up too. We both have things to say. We need to work together because we're here. You know.
I have you're looking at community centers mostly? Would this be thinking about this through community centers?
Well, I want to have my own brick and mortar, like mega location, and then and then the social programs would be programs implemented in other community centers around the world. So they would have like a template that they could use, and people can come train them if they want, or, you know, I'll have my own place as well.
I don't know why I'm thinking about this. So Value Co-op, part of some of the labor organizing that we're also doing is trying to build a workers action center, and so we're doing outreach to libraries. And I don't know if it's like this in Hamilton, but Jen, have you seen the programming in libraries these days?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is like hardcore grassroots, like anti-racist discourse for all. And then also like they provide, like, you can loan out, like, I'm just thinking about accessibility and all of that, this other stuff. They also like loan out like internet. You can, if you like, for a week.
Oh, what?
Yeah, like a dongle.
Oh my gosh, you can have like the fires,
and so all different types of, like, you know, hotspots, so that you can, for, you know, organizing and access and stuff like that. Anyway, it just made me, when you were talking about, like, because I'm imagining some of the really cool programming that you're thinking about, and that just made me think about, I was on the Burnaby Public Library is doing some really amazing programming right now.
Well, libraries are, in general, they're a safe haven for, you know, homeless people. They're like a safe haven for like during a heat wave, there's like air conditioning. It's like, it's such an incredible, if you think about it as like this like space of solace. Like I just, you know, even as like a kid that was super awkward socially and was still trying to learn English, but had a voracious aptitude for reading, I would just go to the library and just spend my entire day checking out books that I was going to take home, but also reading the books.
You don't make it home.
You don't really make it home, you know? And, you know, I never had late fees because I read like 12 books a week. It was nuts. But it was like, libraries are amazing. And I really see, Savoy, when you were just saying that elevator pitch, which, by the way, David, we have a lot to learn from Savoy in terms of crafting
elevator pitches?
our own elevator pitch, because our own elevator pitch is terrible. Whenever someone asks us what we do, David and I just like go on this essay length, we do this art thing, community and intersectionality, and it's just this like long essay. We need a short, like a bite size elevator pitch.
Yeah, a little one too.
Because
Because y'all are so modest. That's why. Because y'all are like, this thing, you know. I see how y'all roll, and y'all are the most humble, modest people. When y'all talking, that's why it comes out like that. But if a little ego on it, and all of a sudden, yeah, this is what I do.
Well, I think the complicated thing, I mean, sorry, I don't want to just talk about you and I, Jen, but the complicated thing about some of this conversation and the work that we're doing too, is it's also challenging a lot of those labels too.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this earlier today too, because we don't even necessarily do like queer identity work that much anymore.
Oh,
we're doing
sorry,
like,
I didn't mean it that way.
You got that label on the label.
Jen just got canceled. No, kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
But we're thinking about like queering, but more so, in our work. So anyway, I'm just
we have to evolve, right, through the decades, as it were. I'm never gonna let that joke go away.
Through the decades.
I'm gonna get, I thought about it. I'm like, if I put that, they really gonna call me out on it. Like, I got really hold, dead ass. I'm like, yeah, no, I did some shit from young.
Well,
okay. Stand in it.
It's my revenge, because when you had the reaction of how old I was,
like, I had no idea, my guy.
She's turning mid-30s.
35
in 2 weeks.
All right. That's lit. But
I would just say, living at home with your parents is actually financially so sound. I highly recommend it, and especially for like Chinese, Taiwanese families, a lot of BIPOC families, like that's like such a common thing, is to live with your family, with your parents, until you're ready to, until you're ready to leave. So I would say it's great. Just take advantage of that, and the cooking, home cooked meal. Like I miss living at home. Mm-hmm.
I turn pro chef around here. Eh? I'm the one that's whipping up meals.
Really?
My mom works from home, and so from Monday to Thursday, I get those meals prepared, all that stuff, But I hear what you're saying, and I want to say this: young black people living at home. If you're gonna look, we got our own shit. Try your hardest to hone in on yourself and work through those things, because it's going to be difficult potentially living at home, because you're older, you're doing things, and your parents are your parents, and they're going to look at you like the kid all the time.
Yes.
So, just hold your own, be confident in who you are, and figure that stuff out, and have leniency.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I say
to your family and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I say that, and also know just how annoyed I get whenever I go and visit my parents in the suburbs, and I turn into like my 7-year-old self, and I just feel like a blubbering idiot. And I just like, you step right back into the pattern of being a child again. And it's just like you just, there's so much, like I just have so much self-loathing. I don't like who I am. I'm past this. Why am I like this? And I always remember this as like a kid growing up. Actually, first time I had this serious memory of my dad saying something kind of meaningful was when he had gone back to Taiwan, where we're from, and he was visiting. It was like visiting my grandfather. He was visiting his dad, and he comes back, and he was just telling me, he was like, my dad will always treat me like a child. Like my grown father, was saying that he was treated like a child with his father.
Yeah. I think I've been thinking about this a lot too, because I remember when I went to go see my parents recently, I think my mom made a comment about like, why didn't you put your shoes away or something like that? And I was like, oh my God, it's that again.
Yeah.
But there's also like a level of like, I feel like our parents are also wanting to also parent us still, like we're still their kid. And so the energy that they're wanting to give and to care is that, and that's how it comes out. And this is what I'm still learning. I'm still struggling on that path, but just also giving them that, like, you know, this is something that my parents want as well.
Yeah. I just let my mom nag, even though it really bothers me. But like, just let her nag because that's how she cares.
Yes.
Boy, I'm taking heed. I will listen to the tips. Just leave me alone. Come on. But facts.
Do you have any other plans for the summer? I guess with COVID, I hate to say that again for the second year, but yeah. What do you have any plans for the rest of the?
Well, honestly, being back now, with coming back to Ontario during COVID and things, like so many people don't know I'm back, and not having social media. So I'm just ready, and my city has changed so much. So I'm just ready to see what summer has in store. As things are opening, I stay informed. I as safe as possible. But I'm going out there. It's hot boy summer. Don't make no mistake. I'm single. I'm ready to do more than mingle. I'm ready to have some fun. Let's go.
I was gonna ask like what the dating life is like in Hamilton.
Well, let's just say, I don't know what the dating life is like because I'm just entering it. But but my mindset going into it is I feel different because I genuinely feel I'm at a point where I can just try and make sense of myself. Like if I do some whack ass stuff, I'm gonna assess it and figure out where the best course is for me to move forward. And I feel sound. I feel good. I feel sturdy in myself. And when you move out in the world, you got you feel good. Your shoulders are back. Like I feel nice now. So I don't know what it's like, but I know that they ain't ready for me. I'll tell you that much. They're not ready. Calm, cool, collected, smooth. I got my shit together. I'm working through my stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I dip my toe in dating. I have a life partner, but we date other people, and I'm like on the apps, right? And I'm like, I'm too set in my ways. I don't want to learn that initial period of getting to know someone, and you're just like holding back all of your flaws. I mean, and part of it maybe for me, maybe it's about not holding back all of my flaws. I don't know, but I'm just like, I'm too old. I'm too set in my ways to learn another person. You've got a whiles to go, I think.
And the key that you said was learning the other person. You didn't say nothing about yours. It's like the effort it takes, the energy it's going to take for. Like I gotta know you're worth investing in for me to want to learn and listen and vibe and really take in what you're saying. I feel you on that.
Yeah. It's funny. I also I'm boring and married and in a monogamous relationship, but it's just going back to our parents. So it's just so funny. Like I'm literally my mother in this relationship. I catch myself being like, why do you cut the bananas like that? When I'm in the kitchen, Nathan cannot be in the kitchen.
Sometimes, because I know David so well, sometimes I will just, if I'm over at their place, I will just look at Nathan and I just, sometimes I feel bad for her because I know David so well.
Even those eyes like,
but relationships are so hard. I don't know. I think that and this has been a reoccurring theme for past guests during Hot Pot Talks, is that we're through our community work, whether that's through Hot Pot Talks or through whatever, we're just trying to workshop our own relationships like in the community,
Yeah.
then we're just trying to figure out how to reconcile our own relationship with our family or parents, you know, like there is such a tie to family and like community and familial love. Like it's such a thing, especially as like queer trans folks.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm thinking on that. It's like the reconciliation that we try to have with those relationships and make sense of our patterns so that we can either correct them or acknowledge them.
Yeah.
It's like those translate into life itself. The movement that we do, like fitness, no different. The relationship one has with their body, the mindset they have when viewing their body, when looking, or you know, the food that we take in, all of that is so ingrained in us, in our community, in our existence. It's like, yeah, it's all connected, and so it's a lot.
Yeah. Right now I'm trying to figure out, what's your take on like routine? Do you have like a routine?
Yes, I love
routine.
Me too. I am a consistency. I just need it, you know?
Yeah, same.
Don't break my pattern.
Yeah, it's my pattern too.
I gotta, you know, the coffee. There's certain things that I just know that I have to have done in my day to feel really good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, hygiene, all that. But coffee, going to the gym, and making. This sounds silly, but making sure I at least smile at myself, because being actually the last year of me living in Vancouver, I didn't have a mirror in my room. And that sounds so, maybe it sounds minuscule to people, but like not looking at yourself every day takes away your awareness of what your face does when you react to things. And now, like, I didn't realize when I was if I was sad, how sad it appeared, or excited, how extravagant that is. And so now, like the smile, I'm like, now that I have a mirror at this split in my room now, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I look like. That's what I look like when I'm mad. Like, oh, okay. Makes me feel good, and that sets my day off right. Coffee, gym, smile.
See, I can't relate though, because as a Leo, I have mirrors everywhere. Everywhere. That camera is turned towards me, checking constantly.
What's the morning routine for you, Jen? What's the morning routine?
So I'm huge into routine, and I need like 5 to 7 business days for plans. Like I am the least spontaneous person because of my own routine and how set I am with and how attached I am to my day. So I need to get up I'm good between 5:30 to 7. If I wake up any later than 7, like 8 is late, you know?
Yep.
So I really like waking up early. There was a period where David and I were both waking up at like 4:35, which was excessive, and like typing each other and like messaging each other.
David, you woke up at that time consistently?
Yeah.
We used to do that. There was a period. It was like a year and a half, I think.
Holy
of that.
Shit.
It was
Right.
And David and I just found that we worked really well. That was also a period where we realized we were syncing on so many things, like just like the synchronization and the way that our minds meld. We still do, obviously. But so I need to wake up early, but not as excessive early as like 4:30, 5. But definitely I like 6. 6 is good. I need to have coffee right away. I also love having a healthy bowel movement. So I stand and have my coffee. And, you know, I don't like sitting in the morning. I just like standing.
Okay.
I have a standing station.
Neat.
So I'm standing now. And it just keeps the movement, you know, going. And I usually like to hang out with my cat. So my morning has to involve my cat Puffers, who's 11 years old, and she's adorable. And we're totally codependent. So we play. we cuddle, and I feed her, obviously. So I need to have like all of those things are part of my day. And so if I were to, if I had to film, or had to go somewhere, then I have to either wake up extra early to do all of those things and make sure I do all of those things. Like I need at least 2 hours before I go out, like at least.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day, I'm fine. I can do whatever.
Yeah. I feel.
Oh, no. I just have one more question. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But in that morning time, like, is that time that you spend alone? Like, you don't want people in that 2 hours. You don't want people entering, just you and cat.
It has to be alone. And there was a period where I didn't live with any cats. But it has to be alone. Like mornings are just my solo time. Yeah. It's like my meditation,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like the getting up and then just leaving, especially after COVID, is going to be very hard because I now also have like the morning. There's a lot of things that need to get done before I can just leave the house.
Yeah. So it's 6. I didn't realize that time was flying by. We were just talking like friends.
This was lit. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We should ask maybe the last final question that we ask all of our guests. What's your favorite hot pot ingredient?
Or experience.
My favorite hot pot experience was the first time I actually went for hot pot was with this this filmmaker that I met on Instagram. His name was Riley, and that was I just met him, and we just went and we just vibed. We went to the gym, and then we went to hot pot. We talked about life and all this, and I just thought, wow, this is just some broy dude I met online, and we're having the most amazing time. And that was also my first introduction to hot pot. So it was like it was the most beautiful introduction to both.
Cool. Amazing.
Was that in Hamilton or here?
That was in St. Catharines at Brock University.
Oh, wow.
At my undergrad, yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Savoy. So good to see you.
Nice seeing you too.
That flew by. Thanks, Savoy. Don't go anywhere. I can't believe that flew by.
That was very quick.
Yes.
Should we announce our next guest?
Yes, our penultimate.
Yes.
Penultimate.
So next week we talked to Dr. Dylan Rodriguez, who wrote the article "The Asian Exception and the Scramble for Legibility Toward an Abolitionist Approach to Anti-Asian Violence," where he breaks down ethical obligations of anti-racism organizing, especially this moment of attention to anti-Asian racism, to organize towards abolition of prisons and police. We asked Dr. Rodriguez about Black radical, anti-colonial, abolitionist, radical queer feminist, and trans frameworks that he draws on, the limitations of the Stop Asian Hate movement, boba liberalism, and how we actively practice anti-racism organizing that is intersectional and in solidarity with Black and Indigenous liberation. That article that he wrote really changed the way that I thought about organizing around anti-Asian racism. So we're so excited that he's agreed to join us, and see you all next week.
See you next week. Bye.